Hey, what's up, Billsmafia? They did it. They did it. AFC East champions for the first time since 1995. It's been a long time coming. I am so happy today, as I know all of you are. It's incredible. That game, I missed the first quarter and a half. By the time I joined it, it was 14-0 Bills, and then as soon as I joined it, Andre Roberts fumbles the punt, and they score to make it 14-7. But uh, there was just no doubt, and as there shouldn't have been. There shouldn't have been any doubt in that game. And I gotta tell you, I am happy. I am reminiscent, if that's a thing. I keep going back in my fandom, and I'm sure a lot of you have. I'm 51 years old. I've been a Buffalo Bills fan since the time I was about 10. My first memory, and I don't remember whether I was watching the game or whether I saw it on the news. It was the game that they beat Miami and the fans tore down the goalposts. I became a fan right then and there. I was 11 because it was 1980, the 1980 season. And instead of analyzing the game, because it's obvious there was just no issues whatsoever. I did have one issue. I will say this. I did have one issue, and some people have said, oh, that's not a big deal. I did not like them leaving Josh Allen in the game, and they almost paid for it in the fourth quarter, where Devin Singletary made that run, and he had that cutback, and Josh Allen got cut blocked. They were up by 28 points at the time in the fourth quarter. He doesn't need to be in the game at that point. That game was long over. But that's my one gripe. But today I'm going to dedicate this video to going back in my fandom. And you guys can comment and leave your favorite fan moments, or maybe send a video, and I will post it onto the Nashville Billsmafia page. How about that? Or you may be able to post it directly in the comments. I don't know how that works sometimes, but just going back, I remember that moment. That was when I first started watching the Bills, and I remember those days. It was Ground Chuck. You had Chuck Knox and Joe Cribbs and Fred Smerlas and the Bermuda Triangle, Jim Haslett, who ironically is an assistant with the Titans. But Jim Haslett and Jerry Butler, and I mean, those guys were good. They went on what was probably if I remember correctly, it was a 3-season run. And there was one point in which they were in the playoffs. Joe Ferguson had gotten hurt, injured his ankle, and tried to play hurt. They really didn't have a backup quarterback. I don't even remember who the backup quarterback was, but I remember him limping in that San Diego game against Eric Coryell. And they had a good shot at winning that game. They were in it until the end, and Ferguson on one leg throws that interception, and that was it. That was a brief run. I was maybe too young to appreciate it. But then you had the down years, where they were so bad. They were just so bad. They were the 2-14 years. Drafting Jim Kelly spurning the Bills, saying, "I'm going to the USFL." Story has it that he was in the office about to sign the contract after getting drafted, and some secretary, I don't know who that was, says your agent's on the phone, and he takes the phone call, of course, and the rest was history. Well, at least we thought. Then the USFL folds, and Jim Kelly comes to Buffalo, and that was the beginning of the building of that team. He comes to Buffalo in '86. By '88, then there's the run to the AFC Championship game. They lose to Cincinnati. Then the bickering Bills of '89, losing the wild card game at Cleveland. That was the game where Ronnie Harmon, yes, Ronnie Harmon was his name. For all you Bills fans that don't know the name Ronnie Harmon, drops the pass from Kelly in the end zone that would have won that game. That's also the game where Don Beebe bounced on his head upside down and stayed in the game. I don't know how he survived that one, but I cringe to this day just thinking about it. But then the next year comes the run, the 4 Super Bowls. And I remember thinking at the time, especially the first year, it was heartbreaking because they made that run. And I'll tell you, that 51-3 game in the AFC Championship game against the Raiders, I was about as happy of a football fan as I could have been. I was 21 years old. I had just left Fredonia State. And I remember watching the AFC Championship game going, what do I do now? You know, they're in the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm not going to the Super Bowl. I can't afford it. So some friends of mine who were still at Fredonia said, we're going to throw a Super Bowl party. We're going to watch the game. Why don't you come on back down? You know, I was still in Buffalo. It wasn't that far. So I drove down, and we're at the game. And I'll never forget, we're in a room where there's Bills fans and there's Giants fans. Because Fredonia, you know, had kids from Buffalo, from New York City, from all over the state. And so there were people rooting for the Giants, there were people rooting for the Bills. And I remember when Scott Norwood lined up for that field goal, we were watching the guys on the sidelines holding hands, and we all stood up. All the Bills fans stood up, and we just held hands. We grabbed hands. We weren't too proud. And Scott Norwood missed that field goal, and my heart sunk. And every Bills fan, and I remember it was almost like you were in a movie. Like that moment where you see the character and the camera's focused on the character, and you hear all this commotion behind the character. That's how I felt. There was all this commotion going on, but I really wasn't paying attention to it. I was just wrapped up in my own grief and sorrow and, you know, all of that. And it was the longest 40-minute drive back to Buffalo. It was a very long drive back to Buffalo. And then the next year came, and I had just gotten married that year. And my wife, who was from the Bronx, my ex-wife, who was from the Bronx, decided to watch the game with me. We went to a friend's house. That was the Washington game. They lost that one. Then the third one, Pasadena against the Cowboys. Just decided to stay home. And they got blown out. And then the last one, I was happy that they were in it, but I was really just kind of like, God, please, just once. And they were up 13-7 at the half, and I thought to myself, I'd say this could be it, but the only problem was they were up 12-3 against the Giants and lost that one. Of course, we all know they didn't score in the second half, lost 30-13. Fast forward a few years, finally I decide to leave Buffalo. I had gotten divorced from my first wife, well, separated from my first wife, and decided to leave Buffalo, moved to Baltimore. This was the year of the Music City Miracle. But by this time, I didn't see the game. I actually did not see the game because I keep the Sabbath, as I said in the last video. I keep the Sabbath, which means I'm not watching any secular television I'm not watching, non-faith-based or nature-based programming from Sunset Friday to Sunset Saturday. So I missed the game because back then, back in 99, the Saturday wild card games came on early in the day. It was like a Sunday. They would come on at 1 o'clock Eastern time. So I missed the entire game. I saw the highlight. Now, I'm living in Baltimore, mind you. I saw the highlight and I thought to myself, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Right? Did this just happen? It did. So, I'm like, this is just so much of my fandom. I don't know what a Super Bowl... At this point, I'm like, I am never going to feel what it's like to actually cheer on a team that wins the Super Bowl. Remember I said I was living in Baltimore? The next season, that was the year the Titans went to the Super Bowl, by the way. The next season, Baltimore goes to the Super Bowl. It is, and I'm rooting heavily for the Ravens. One, because I'm living in Baltimore. Why not, right? Two, because it is the 10th anniversary of Wide Right. And the Ravens are playing the Giants in Tampa. I'm like, this is perfect. And the Ravens put a beat down on the Giants and Kerry Collins. And I'm happy and I'm excited. But I didn't go to the parade. Because I was living in Baltimore. I was rooting for the Ravens to win, but it wasn't my team. What I didn't know was that my team wouldn't even sniff the playoffs for another 16 years after that. Fast forward again, 2006, moved to Nashville. Me and my new wife and our kids moved to Nashville. And it's weird because every year I have to hear about the Music City Miracle. But then I come to find out there's a Bills backers group here, and we break the drought, and I am sitting in this restaurant bar, and there's like 110 Bills fans there in this one room. And we're cheering and everything. And I didn't know it then, but this is a new era for Buffalo Bills fans. Bills fans, this is a new era. This feels, what I felt Saturday was kind of what I felt when the Bills went to the AFC Championship, the year the Bills went to the AFC Championship game against Cincinnati. It's the same feeling. You knew something special was on the horizon. You know a run is on the horizon. I don't know what kind of a run it is, but it's definitely a run of relevance. Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott are young. It's a run of relevance. It's going to be a run of playoffs, maybe a Super Bowl or two, hopefully a win. But folks, we're here. We're relevant. These guys are good. And we're going to be here for a long time. Get used to it, Bills fans. We have arrived. If you like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, Nashville Billsmafia. And as always, let's go Buffalo!